one of the things that if you all learn one thing from me today, accommodations, getting an accommodation in a public school setting, you do not need to have a formal diagnosis of anything in order to qualify for an accommodation. So if we're
Hmm.
talking about a 504 plan specifically, these are plans that have to do with addressing medical issues or symptoms that arise that are chronic. So it's not like a broken leg that's going to go away. This is something expected to hang around, which is, by the way, distinct from an IEP plan that has to do with adjusting educational goals and outcomes based on what an individual might need. And there's absolutely overlap between the two, which confuses everybody. But the 504 plan is usually where my purview is, because we're talking about things that affect mobility, getting up and back to class, classrooms being difficult on the physical functioning of your body, cold air in the classroom, hot air in the classroom, allergies in the classroom. That all is under the umbrella of a 504 plan. But also,
Right.
so is extended test time, which is what we hear about more. But the most important point I absolutely must make is that if you have chronic symptoms that are disrupting an element of daily functionality, you are entitled to a 504 plan, or at least getting evaluated for a 504 plan. You do not need a formal diagnosis. You need symptoms. And unfortunately, a lot of schools, I think with the best of intentions, I hope, but a lot of the time that understanding is missed. And so schools insist on having a physician who has finalized the diagnosis before they're willing to give a full evaluation for a 504 plan. That is not how the law works. I am not a legal expert, so I should be careful how I say that, but that I know. And so what people need to understand is that if your child is struggling, and I'd love it if accommodations were in place before a child struggles, that is a
Right.
long-term goal. But if you're seeing that your child is struggling because of physical symptoms or even emotional symptoms, whatever it is, you can and should have an evaluation for whether accommodations are appropriate and what those might be. Now, you can look online. I'll be able to post some on my own website shortly, but you can look online for 504 plan like templates
Okay.
and step-by-step instructions on how to get one, what to ask the school for. But basically, if you go into the school with a letter that says, I have these concerns about these symptoms that my child is experiencing, you don't need a diagnosis. You just send them that letter, you get it signed and dated, and they are required by law to evaluate. Now, it might not land the way you want it to land, but that's how you start the process. And it is so important to know that, and so important to be able to get those resources moving and grooving. I can't emphasize it enough.